6 months ago, I destroyed the only man who ever trusted me. Now I'm the one watching him rebuild his life without me, without a word. But Seattle has long memories and guilt has sharp teeth. This is how silence became my revenge story. Seattle rain has a rhythm that doesn't forgive. It slides down glass like time itself, steady, endless, and quietly cruel. When I think back to the night everything began to crack, I swear I can still hear it. The soft hiss of water against the window, the sound of a life washing away. His name was Evan, and for a long time he was the calm in my chaos. I used to joke that he was born allergic to drama. Steady voice, slow heartbeat, the kind of man who read weather reports for fun. I was drawn to him because he made the world stop spinning. I stayed because I wanted to believe his kind of peace could save me from myself. We'd been together 5 years. Long enough for the fire to fade into habit, for the laughter to shrink into polite conversation between bills and grocery runs. I told myself that was normal. Every couple hits that plateau. But one night at a coworker's birthday, something in me shifted. No, something in me broke. That's where I met Ryan. He wasn't extraordinary, at least not in any obvious way. But he looked at me like he already knew the parts of myself I tried to keep buried. The restless, unsatisfied woman behind the smile. He made boredom sound like a disease and adventure like medicine. I remember thinking just one drink can't hurt. It hurt. Not at first. Not when his jokes landed perfectly or when he told me my laugh was the most honest sound in the room. But later, when honesty turned into secrecy, when text bubbles became lifelines, when every ping of my phone made my pulse race faster than Evan's heartbeat ever did. I didn't plan to betray Evan. It started with attention, then validation, then the rush of being wanted. I told myself it was harmless, that it was just talking. But emotional affairs have a way of rearranging your loyalties before you even realize you've moved. The first time Ryan kissed me, it was behind the building after work. Cold air, warm mouth, and 1,000 rationalizations racing through my head. I told myself I deserved to feel alive again, that I wasn't destroying anything real, just a routine that had stopped mattering. But that's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't announce itself with sirens. It seeps in quietly, molecule by molecule, until the air between two people turns toxic. For months I lived 2 lives. Mornings with Evan, coffee brewing, rain outside. Evenings with Ryan, hotel rooms and whispered promises. Seattle's skyline became my accomplice, reflecting secrets in every glass window I passed. Evan never suspected. He wasn't the jealous type, and I mistook that for indifference. I thought if he really loved me, he'd notice the distance. Instead, he trusted me completely. And that blind trust became the rope I'd hang myself with. The unraveling began on a Sunday morning. I was half asleep when he asked casually if I'd left my laptop unlocked. My stomach nodded instantly. He said it with no edge in his voice, no accusation. Just a question. I needed to print a receipt, he said. But your email was open. You've got a lot of messages from someone named Ryan. The world tilted. My throat went dry, my brain scrambled for words that could erase what he might have seen. I tried to play dumb, but the silence between us was heavier than truth. He didn't yell, didn't curse. He just stood there, looking at me like I'd suddenly become unrecognizable. That look, calm, hollow, hurt worse than any scream could. Then he closed the laptop, picked up his jacket and said, "I'll be back later." He didn't come back. For 3 days I waited. Called. Texted. The messages turned from apologies to begging to self-hatred. His phone went straight to voicemail. His social media disappeared. Mutual friends said he was taking space. That phrase, the politest way to say you don't exist anymore. By week 2 I was unraveling. The affair ended immediately. Ryan ghosted me as soon as things blew up. Typical. He told me I was too much drama. I wanted to laugh at the irony if it didn't burn so much. People say guilt fades, but it doesn't. It just finds new ways to speak. It hums in the silence, in the empty half of the bed, in the reflection of yourself you start avoiding. I thought about showing up at Evan's office, but pride stopped me. I'd already taken enough from him. The least I could do was give him distance. Then something strange happened. A month after he left, I got a message, not from him but from one of his friends, Nate. Short, cold, deliberate. He knows everything. Stop trying to contact him. No signature, no sympathy. Just closure dressed like a command. So I stopped. At least outwardly. Inside, I was still running circles around memories. Our road trips, his dumb playlists, the way he'd hum when he cooked. Guilt is strange that way. It preserves the good moments so they can haunt you more efficiently. I tried therapy. The counselor asked what I was hoping to achieve. Forgiveness? Redemption? I said, I just want to stop replaying it. She nodded and said, that's the thing about betrayal. You don't get to decide when the replay ends. The other person does. By month 3, I started to move mechanically, work, sleep, pretend to live. Then came the whispers. A colleague pulled me aside after a meeting. You might want to check Reddit, she said, not meeting my eyes. My stomach dropped. Someone, probably Ryan, maybe one of Evan's friends, had posted my story on a relationship thread. Not by name, but close enough that people local to Seattle could piece it together. Woman cheats with coworker. Husband disappears without confrontation. The comments were brutal. People treated my life like entertainment. I deleted every social account, but it was too late. Friends distanced themselves. HR called me in for a professional conduct conversation. I smiled through it, nodded, pretended I was fine, but inside I was boiling. That's when the revenge started. Not from me, not yet, but from silence itself. Evan didn't need to destroy me. He just vanished, and the absence did all the work. It was genius in its cruelty. Every unanswered text became a mirror held up to my mistakes. Every person who avoided my eyes became an accomplice in his quiet retribution. I started to admire it in a sick way, the precision of it. But admiration curdled into obsession. I wanted to see him, to know if he was happy, if he missed me, if he even remembered I existed. So I did the thing I promised myself I wouldn't do. I found him. A friend mentioned seeing him at a small tech event downtown. I went, not to talk, just to watch. He was there, looking different. Lighter. Laughing with some woman, her hand brushing his arm. The sight hit me like a wave of acid. I ducked behind a column, ridiculous and shaking. When he saw me, because of course he did, his smile didn't even falter. He just nodded politely like I was a stranger, then turned back to her. That was the moment something inside me shifted again. I'd ruined him once. He'd forgiven me by erasing me. But now I wanted him to feel something. Not hate, not love, just anything. So I stayed silent, but I started watching. I followed his public life the way people follow celebrities. LinkedIn updates, company press releases, tagged photos from mutual friends. Evan was rebuilding piece by piece. New job. New apartment. New woman. And me? I was a ghost haunting the edges of his progress. It wasn't until I ran into Ryan again that the real revenge began to take shape. He was at a bar in Capitol Hill, same smirk, same cheap cologne. He looked surprised but amused. Long time, he said. How's domestic life? I stared at him for a long moment before answering. Over. He laughed. Shocker. You always did like the drama. Maybe it was the way he said it, like I was still the punchline. Or maybe it was just the first spark of self-respect flickering back to life. But I smiled. You're right. And guess what? You're about to star in the sequel. I didn't mean it then. But words have a way of manifesting when you've got nothing left to lose. Seattle nights can feel like confession booths. Dark, quiet, full of echoes. After running into Ryan, I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said. You like the drama. He wasn't wrong. But this time I wanted to be the director, not the disaster. Ryan still worked at the same marketing firm where Evan and I had first met. That's how I realized something. Our stories were still entangled in tiny ways. Evan's new company had just signed a contract with Ryan's agency, which meant emails, meetings, brand launches, the perfect overlap. At first, I just watched it unfold from a distance. Then an idea started forming, slow, steady, almost elegant in its simplicity. Not revenge by exposure, but by precision. I reached out to an old coworker, Mia, who still handled internal PR. Over drinks, I let a few concerns slip. About Ryan's professionalism. About his tendency to blur personal lines with clients. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. In corporate language, insinuation travels faster than evidence. Within a week, Ryan's name started circulating in office whispers. The same way mine once had. Karma moves quietly like smoke. Meanwhile, Evan's company began prepping for a big launch event. I saw it online, photos of him at the head of meetings, sleeves rolled up, eyes focused. I could have left it alone. Should have. But closure is addictive. You convince yourself it's justice. I volunteered anonymously as an event consultant through a temp agency under my maiden name. Seattle's a big city, but anonymity thrives in its reign. Nobody cross-checked the paperwork. The day of the event, I walked into the downtown venue wearing black and calm-like armor. Evan was there, greeting sponsors. He didn't see me at first, which gave me time to observe. He was different, confident, collected, unscarred. The woman I'd seen him with before was by his side, laughing. Her name tag read Clara Morales. Marketing Director. The job title stung more than her smile. During setup, I overheard Ryan's voice before I saw him. Loud, confident, already charming the wrong people. He was part of Clara's team, apparently consulting on the branding campaign. Of course, Seattle's social circles are shaped like spiderwebs. Pull one thread and everything trembles. By evening, the event was in full swing. The air buzzed with clinking glasses and half-meant compliments. Evan looked relaxed. Ryan looked like a man who thought the universe adored him. So I gave the universe a little nudge. A quiet word to the head of PR about a potential conflict of interest between Ryan and a key client, specifically Clara. A few strategically timed glances. A text to Mia confirming, "It's happening again." The thing about reputations? They're as fragile as glass, and rumor is the hammer you never have to swing twice. By the end of the night, I watched the first crack appear. Clara pulled Ryan aside, her expression cold, professional. He tried to laugh it off. She didn't. Evan noticed, stepped in, said something I couldn't hear. Clara walked away. Ryan looked pale. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt steady, like the world had just clicked back into alignment. Evan caught sight of me then. Our eyes met across the room. His expression didn't change. No anger, no recognition, just mild surprise. Then after a beat, he nodded once. Not forgiveness exactly. More like acknowledgement. I nodded back. That was enough. 2 weeks later, Ryan's firm quietly reassigned him. Officially a strategic move. Unofficially, everyone knew it was damage control. I didn't gloat, didn't post, didn't tell a soul. My silence was louder than any victory lap. The same week, Evan posted a photo online. First one in almost a year. Him and Clara at a lake outside the city, sun reflecting off the water. No caption, just peace. For once it didn't gut me. It grounded me. Because here's what I finally understood. Revenge doesn't always look like fire. Sometimes it looks like stillness while everything noisy burns itself out. I kept living. Went back to work full-time. I started volunteering on weekends. Slowly, the whispers about me faded, replaced by new scandals, new villains. The internet moves fast when it's hungry. But the quiet stayed. And in that quiet I started writing. Not texts I'd never send, not letters I'd never mail. Just pages about how easy it is to lose yourself trying to be wanted. I called it The Sound of Rain. Seattle's soundtrack. 6 months passed before I saw Evan again. Randomly at a farmer's market near Green Lake. He was carrying flowers, phone tucked under his chin, smiling at something Clara said through the speaker. He almost didn't notice me. When he did, there was a pause, a flicker of recognition, then calm. "Hey," he said simply. "Hey." We stood there, surrounded by strangers and sunlight that refused to behave like Seattle's usual gray. "Are you doing okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Better." He nodded, sincere. "Good." There was no talk of the past, no apology, no resentment. Just two people who'd once shared everything, now sharing air for a few seconds more. As he turned to go, I said, "Evan." He stopped. "For what it's worth, you were right to leave." He smiled faintly. "For what it's worth. I'm glad you figured that out." Then he walked away, flowers in hand, sunlight on his back. I thought that would be the end. And maybe it was. But life, like rain, loves repetition. 2 weeks later, I got an email from an unknown address. Subject line, "You win." It was from Ryan. Just one line inside. "Hope you're proud of yourself. You ruined me." I stared at it for a long time, then typed back, "No. You ruined yourself." I just let the silence do the talking. Then I deleted it, blocked the address, and went outside. It was raining again, of course it was, but the sound felt different now. Softer. Forgiving even. Because here's the secret no one tells you about revenge. If you do it right, it stops being about them long before it ends. It becomes about you. About reclaiming the part of yourself that lets someone else define your chaos. Evan taught me that by disappearing. I learned it by finally showing up. And maybe that's why, when people ask me if I regret it, I say no. Not because I'm proud of what I did, but because I survived it. Because the silence I once feared became the only language that could free me. Seattle kept raining, of course. It always does. But one morning, walking downtown with coffee in hand, I caught my reflection in a shop window and didn't look away. For the first time in a year, I saw someone I almost recognized. She wasn't perfect, but she was awake. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. Sometimes the quietest revenge is simply living better than the person who broke you, or the person you once were. If this story hits you somewhere deep, please like, share, and drop a comment below. Help me reach 5,000 subscribers so more people can hear stories like this. You were watching Betrayal Nation. Thank you.